the GIS and remote sensing. So the GIS is the Geographical Information System. So I would like to cover the contents related to the what is the remote sensing and what is the GIS. So very first, we will have the introduction of what is the remote sensing. This will help us to collect the data in various resources. Then we'll see the type of the sensors. Basically, the sensors are used to uh, collect the data and which are and on which platform it is to be collected, that we are also going to see in the types of the sensor. Then we in the sensor characteristics we will see different the resolutions. Resolutions is nothing but the ability to resolve correlation or distinguish between any two adjacent features with respect to, let it be time, let it be with respect to the space, let it be with respect to the amount of the energy that we are going to see. In the digital image processing, we will see why we need the digital image. And in this, we will see the digital image, the classification. Basically, digital image to store the data or restore the data acquisition. Then we go for uh, the image interpretation. A very good analyst will see the the image what he has got as a aerial photogrammetry from the aerial photograph or from the satellite imagery. He should be able to apply the proper judgment, and if he is not able to apply proper judgment, then he can use different techniques to interpret the data. For example, if I tell you the image, in the image, if the features, different features, they are not distinguishable, he can increase the contrast. In that case, the features of the interest can be highlighted more in the white or black color. In the last, we will see what are the applications of remote sensing. Then we turn to the what is the GIS. Then we will see what are the different components of the GIS. There are two different models, data model called as the raster model and the vector model. Then we go for the analysis, how the any uh, system that in the GIS can analyze. Then we will go for a little example, which I'll take in the form of tutorial. Even though there are different or many more softwares, free version as well as the paid versions are available. The most popular is the QGIS, that is Quantum GIS. It is not possible to cover in 1 hour to actually run the software. So what I try to take the screenshot and try to cover the analysis using QGIS. And then we'll see applications in real loop. So what is the remote sensing? The remote sensing is a technique of collecting the information of object without being in direct physical contact with the objects. So there are many more the features or objects which need to be actually attended and take the measurements. But there are some inaccessible areas where we cannot take the measurements. Secondly, very large areas to be covered. Then in a very stipulated time, it is not possible to cover the different area if to be measured. Then we see that identification, the measurement and analysis of an object are recorded by the device. Now, once we got the images or the photographs, we need to identify the different features. And from this identification, we have to take the measurements. So it is possible to measure the different objects, like what are the different, the text, texture, patterns, the sizes and shapes. And there are such 9 elements of this. And then after this, we go for the analysis of the object recorded by the device. So what is the device? Device is nothing but the sensor. So here to acquire and interpret the data, and this data is in data interpretation and acquisition is used to extract the information. There are many more complex problems in the real world which are required to be tackled in different ways. So here we want to extract the information about the features. That could be the objects, that could be different classes, that could be the areas, and these objects or features may be lying on the earth surface, in the ocean, or in the air also. So here, how it is possible to sense any kind of the data? So here we can see a very simple example when any source of the energy such as the sun, which incident the light rays, basically these the rays, sun rays are in the electromagnetic radiation form, get absorbed, some of the energy get absorbed, some of the energy get reflected from the leaf, and some of the may get it may get transmitted. So with the same principle, if we go ahead, there are some there is electromagnetic spectrum which is visible for our eyes, and some of the spectrum, part of the spectrum, which are not possible to see with our eyes. So therefore, we need some sensors. So sensing and recording this reflected or emitted energy is possible, and to extract the data from the images. So there are basically two types of the remote sensing or sensors based on, we call it as active remote sensing and passive remote sensing. So what is the difference between these two? Active remote sensing is the platform which is required its own the energy source. For example, simple, if I take the photographs, now daytimes it is possible to take capture the photographs in the sunlight, presence of sunlight. But if in the night hours, if you want to take the photograph taken with the flash, we call it as the active remote. Now here the flash mode came into operation. Whereas the passive remote sensing, mostly they, which is the data is acquired from the natural resource, that is the sun. Now, what you can see here in this image, there is a sun, and which incident energy electromagnetic radiation, and all these different features what you can see here, the water surface, then the soil, the vegetation, or let it be any hard rock, they will reflect the energy. So basically there are two types of the sensing. One is called the optical and another is the thematic. So here the energy is reflected by the objects is our area of the interest. So there are, you can see the natural source, which is the passive remote sensing, and active sensors, they are either you can say airborne in the satellite form or the aircraft. So why do we require the remote sensing? Basically, it helps in getting the systematic data. We are going to see this in next couple of the slides, what is the means of systematic data. Then we need to have the information about the 3 dimensions of real objects. So what are the images what we get here in the form, the photographs? All these photographs, either aerial photographs or the satellite imagery, they are in the 2D diagram. So from this, it is possible to make a model or create a model which will help us. For example, what is the height of the object, different elevation difference in the surface. Then it is possible to repeatedly take the same area to capture the images. Then you can say the global coverage is possible with the remote sensing in very short duration as compared to the other traditional ways where we cannot go and take the measurements. The remote sensing help us to capture the images, and how to interpret that is part of the digital image processing. So likewise, we will see here what are the different components of remote sensing. So what does it does? First of all, what are the active source or passive source? With this electromagnetic radiation, the energy which is reflected back get accepted by the sensor which is mounted on aircraft or the satellite images. So the energy is also in the form of the electromagnetic rays. Then this is the analog signal and converted into digital form. And again, it is sent back to the ground-based stations where it is get processed, and the display in the form of either graphical images or any 3D models is possible. So these platforms basically are ground-based or airborne or spaceborne. So these are some examples. And from this photographs, imageries, satellite imageries, it is possible to detect the different features or objects. Now, one more, the part of this remote sensing is the spectral signatures. So signature is nothing but a unique identity of all different features which are existing on the Earth. So you can see there is one graph for showing for different features. Again, on x-axis you can see the wavelength, which is mostly in micrometers, and on the y-axis is a reflectance. So as I told you, this is the optical type of remote sensing, where instead of emitted energy, we are more interested in the reflected energy. So if you see in this the plot, there are this is a turbid river water, and this is a very clear water. So we can see that there is color change. Why this? Because turbid river water reflects more the radiation as compared to the clear water. So clear water absorbs more energy. And one more thing regarding this, you can see here the wavelength in micrometers. After this, let us say 0.9 meters, 0.8 micrometers, after that there is no any reflectance. There with the true color combination, it is not possible. True colors mean red, green and blue. This is a combination of this, and it is not possible to detect all the water bodies, and even though the water body is different with the different properties, let it be turbid water with different impurities or clear water. So we need to go for the one more band, color band. So for example, if you want to take a vegetation, so in vegetation, you can see here with this up in this region, there is no very small reflectance, that small energy get reflected. But the moment I go here, take the help of the infrared, near infrared, apart from the three bands, now it shows the very much peak in this case. So therefore, we take the apart from the three bands near infrared, which is very close to the visible band. So we are also going to discuss about this. So as the wavelength changes, you can see in this prominent infrared region, we can detect more clearly the vegetation. The vegetation also may be varying from very plant farming or crop cultivated there, or it could be a very forest land. So it is possible to the same vegetation but having the different patterns. One more example you can see here. Here is the soil which is wet with the 20% of water and the 5%. Even the pattern what is shown by both the dry or wet soil, they are same, but there is a difference between this. So reflectance characteristics we call as the spectral signatures. So the electronic students may be knowing all this. What is the total electromagnetic spectrum from the cosmic rays to the radio waves? So this is the only visible light, which is what we can see. So infrared is very close to this. Now we turn to the what is different sensor characteristics. Basically, this is the resolution type. There are four types of the spectral, temporal, and radiometric. I'm going to concentrate more on the spectral and spectral. The temporal is the repetitivity of the satellite, which is of the same area. There are different types of the satellites also, which are working in very fixed orbit, the crop or forest land, or we want to say weather monitoring. So therefore, depending upon that, either land to be covered in during the 5 days or in couple of hours, they are working on. So there is INSAT, Metasat, these are the Indian satellites which is working on. Okay, spatial resolution basically means of the very smallest unit area measured. So you can see here, this is the sensor which is mounted on the let it be aircraft or the satellite. When it takes the picture of the ground, this is the element or area, and this pixel size will be depending upon at what altitude the aircraft or satellite is there. And second thing is the IFOV, that is the field of view. Now the spatial resolution, as said, that the pixel size, there are different sensors which are giving different resolutions. One is the IWFS, which is having 56 meter. So even though all these sensors I'm showing here, they are at the same altitude. So you can say there is a ETM sensor which is giving the resolution of 30 meters. In IRS LIS, this is one giving 33.5 meters. Then this is more Iconics MSS. This is 4 meter resolutions. Then IRS the Panchromic, this is 5.8, and this is one also one more 1 meter resolution. So what is the difference between this the color images and this is the black and white images? There are two types of the sensors which are called as the multispectral and panchromatic. Where the multispectral which are used for the red, blue, green, and one more called as the near infrared. Whereas in this panchromatic here, it is only the gray, white, and gray scale it is to be used. So there is no any color combination. Spectral resolution is the part of the electromagnetic spectrum which is measured. So you can see, for example, when the picture is taken by the satellite, it captures the image in different wavelengths. So accordingly, we call it the band 1, band 2, band 3. So in order to understand it more clearly, let us try to understand what is the splitting of a photograph to multi-channel. So you can see here in this, this is an image of any structure. So basically, it's a combination of 3 different color bands: blue, green, and the red. So in the red image, you can see it is more white as compared to the very blue. Now, when this all together, they are joined or combined together, they are called a true color combination. So here the color gun, you can say the blue is assigned to blue, green assigned to green, and red assigned as a red. So what the true picture image taken here, what is for example, the vegetation or water body, they will be showing you in true color combination, vegetation as a green, water as a blue. But sometimes it is not identified the nearby features distinguishingly. We have to change the combination, and there is different combinations. We call it the false color combination. So you can blue color gun, that means original. You can assign as the green color. Original is the green. You can assign to the red and red to the blue. So there is a number of the combination is possible. But out of this here, it is found that most of the part is which is more interested in the vegetation. So therefore, the standard false color composite is accepted as the blue color gun is assigned as a green, green to red, and red to near infrared. Now, you can see the true color combination and false color combination. What we can see in this image, there is a the greeneries you can see here, and here is also one more greeneries, but there is not any much more distinction between these two. This is the true color combination. But if you go for the standard color false color combination, so the greenery is here, but which is always as we assigned as a green to the red. So this is more dark and as compared to this. So with this color combination, blue, green, and red, so this you can see vegetation which will show here only this much reflectance. But the moment you change here from here blue to blue, here the green, red to green, and here is the infrared. So you can see the peak here, and the more red color the vegetation which is originally in the green form can be identified. Then we go for the radiometric resolution. So here the two images you can see with the low radiometric resolution and the high radiometric resolution. Now what is the 1 bit, 2 bit? This is the number of shades which could be possible. Two pictures are having same spectral resolution and same spatial resolution. But even though if I want to, as I said, if you increase the contrast or like this, and you want to identify the features more predominantly, what you go for the 1 bit, 2 bits, that is the sensitivity to sense the data or the features. So 1 bit, that means 2 raised to 1. So this is exponent 1, which gives the 2 shades. If you go for the 2 bit, that means 2 raised to 2. So we get the 4 number of the shades. So likewise, we can go for any number of the bits, and we can have that much number of the shades can be available. So in the hyperspectral, what you can see, there are thousands of the color combination is possible depending upon the resolution. Now digital number. So for this particular the portion, you can see there is the I columns and J rows. So what it says that, for example, this is 114. So this is called as the digital number or pixel size. So digital number is called as the radiometric resolution here. So more is the value, more we can say the resolution is possible. Now in this case, the value of this varying from 0 to any number depending upon what is your bit size. Now method of interpretation, there are two ways. One is the visual interpretation and another digital interpretation. So as far as remote sensing is possible, the analyst should be able to interpret digital classification, how correctly he interprets the image. For a visual interpretation from this simple, the image you can see here, there is a building, and for example, another feature is the vehicle which is running on the road. So it is possible. Now, how this digital classification can be possible? So before that, we need to understand the image interpretation. There are different 9 elements which will help us to detect or identify or any feature. So there's a black and white tone. Then there are many number of colors combinations what is possible. Then the size, small or large. Then the shape, rectangular, circular. So what we can see here is the circular one. Then this is the linear one. Likewise, the texture will tell you the roughness or smoothness of the object. So how it is possible? So any two adjacent you can see here. This one can be a very rough texture, and here is the very smooth. Secondly, pattern, the very well planned you can see here, and it is not well planned. So this is also the pattern. The height is one there, and the shadow we can see here. So there are different image softwares which is used in digital image processing systems. So the ADAS, it is most commonly used for this, even though ILVIS is also possible to get it downloaded from the openware software. Now we will come to the GIS, that is the Geographic Information System. So what are the objectives of GIS? Very first thing is this: the GIS help us in reducing the time in handling the very large data, and this data is not always free of cost. It may go to very much expensive. Recording, researching huge amount of data is not possible. So therefore, there are some platforms such as the crowdsourcing where you can go for the data easily available. Then generating and establishing its a geographical position or the land features. So what is the primary goal of this is to take a raw data and transform it by the overlap. So the data which is available is always in the raw data form. Then we go for the analysis. So there we are going to, after this we are going to see how the analysis can be done. So what is the overlap? Overlap means if you are suppose have any photographs or any map, then what you can do, you go for the digitization for this, and how the overlap can be done, that we are going to see in the tutorial form. There are various analytical calculations are involved. Basically, the goal is to create a new set of the information, and which will help you to take the decision in very short time. So why GIS is needed? So the GIS is needed because the data might be very much old data, and it might be poorly maintained. Then the maps which were from the olden days need to be digitized, and so we go for the updation for this. Then there is no data retrieval services for this, and there is no data sharing. In this case, we go for the GIS. So if you see the theoretical framework of the GIS, basically what the pictures or images we get from the real world. We want to extract the data. We have to, this data have to be managed because it's a DBMS, database management system. This data has to be manipulated, and sometimes manipulated, and then we go for the analysis. And last, we get the output at the graphics forms or 3D formats or 2D formats. That is the or map. This is the ultimate output of this. So there are 3 levels at which the GIS can be used. First is the data management. Now this data, where data comes from? The data is coming from the different sources, and this data, needful data is to be only stored, retrieve the data, and display the results. Now, what are the different components of this in this GIS system? So they all are associated with this. The very first thing is the data. Data is, we call it as a special data or non-special data. We are also going to see more in details what is the special and non-special. Then the procedures, various scientific models and the methods of analysis which are coming on these procedures. The hardware, just we talk about this, and the people which are the end user which are just like in the form of GIS professionals, scientists and researchers, and the decision makers. So the data basically is either tabular form, geographical map, it could be a digital map, or it could be the remotely sensed map. Basically, there are two types of the data. We call it the spatial data and attribute data. Spatial, that means related to the space. So nearby any two objects, they are relative or absolute positions can be stored, and this data we are going to see in the coordinate form. So what is the spatial data? Basically, the related, where is the data, spatial data. And it describes the absolute and relative location, and is always in the form of the XY coordinate system. Now these special features that could be considered as a point data, line data, area data, or the surface area. So depending upon what is the scale of the map. If I consider a very small region and we want to depict more closely spaced objects, then the point will not solve. Now we'll look about the what is the data model, vector model, and the raster model. So this basically we are going to see first of all what is the attribute data. So object in spatial database are as a representation of real world entities which will be associated with the attributes. What the attribute does is that attribute does is gives the information what is the data, how it is created, when it is created, and all these kind of the information other than the coordinates of any feature can be tabular form. So you can see here at the columns and rows, and it can be represented in different colors, texture, the linear or graphic symbols that we are going to see in the tutorial. Now let us example, if you have the one feature as a whale, and the distribution of this whale you can see with the red spot. Now suppose you want to go for the analysis, if any whale is or gets contaminated, so what is the possibility of getting contaminated all the whales? So how the GIS helps us in identifying all this? So this comes under your spatial analysis. Now each spatial entity may have more than one attribute associated with. So for example, there is a hotel or any institution. This is one feature, but may have, can say, in a city, how many number of the hotels are there? In a city, how many of institutions are there? And the numbers in the form of the populations in numeric forms, it could be like this. Or rainfall, how much centimeter of the rainfall has occurred, what is the areas in a meter square, likewise. So this data can be stored in different files. One is the called as shape file, which store the geometry features, shape and size in the coordinate forms. Then stores attribute information, DBF, which is meaning of this, giving the more information regarding that feature. And the SHX file, index file, which will be required if the data is very much used. So in this case, CTAs, SHFP, that means different forms of this same as a shape file or DBF file can be stored. Now we'll look at what is the vector data model and a raster data model. Basically, it is a structured or consistent way to represent. So vector data and raster data, you can see here the vector data is mostly in the point, line, and the area of polygon. So you can see there is a tree. We can see very as a point if you show in the map. So it can be shown, okay, what is the distribution, just like a whale. So for the linear, you can say road. Here you do not consider the width of the road as far as the network analysis is considered. And for the area, suppose you want to separate out different colonies or areas, you can show in a two-dimensional form. So we got for example, the points. There are different distribution of the points, X and Y coordinates, how the attribute data stores the data. So for the lines, you can see here, actually, the lines which are running as a vertex and node, you can see here, and the coordinate system, how it is written here. Now we come to the raster data. So raster data, basically all the satellite imageries, they are in the form of the raster data form, that is in pixel size. This will be giving geometric properties and topological properties. So we will, what is the meaning of geometric properties? basically geometric properties gives the position and measurements, and the topological properties means how the adjacent features they are connected to each other. What is the correlation between these? Likewise. Okay, raster data model, as we have seen in the remote sensing, value of digital number. This is the element of this, and you can see the row and the columns. Okay. Now, if you want to say, let us say one feature which is shown in the left hand side, which is the line is in vector form, and if it has to be represented in the raster form. So you can see the pixel size. So here, actually, the orientation of the image, either line or any area or polygon, the originality get lost. So it is somewhat zigzag manner. So therefore, the resolution is very much important here. The data of raster or the from raster to vector is possible, and vector to raster data is also possible. The only thing is that if you are converting raster data from the vector, again here the original shape get lost here or cannot be recoverable. So one example, if I take here, suppose this is the network in the vector data. So how it can say this is one road and crossing one more road, this is junction of this. So how the data is stored in the file. So likewise displayed on the GIS program and stored in the file. So what you can say, red box here is associated with the red line. And here at the top here you can see here at the top here is the actually the information regarding. So coordinates as well as the information. Again red for the red line. These are nodes likewise. Okay, this is clear distinction between the raster data and the vector data. So we can see same feature if you want to show here. So it is coming. So there are different patterns, whether giving the digital value number, digital, that is DN, or giving the alphabets black, green. It is also possible to show you either digital number or the alphabets. The measurement techniques comes buffer analysis and overlay analysis. Okay, this is I just give the measurement techniques. This is the most important, the buffer. So what is the buffering is nothing but assigning some value surrounding that figure. Let it be a point, line, or let a polygon. So for example, if you want to say water is released from the dam, and after this, the nearby locations, areas, how much areas get flooded, so that rehabilitation that should take place. So that is near surrounding to that village. We assign surrounding that village, let us say 2-kilometer area. So what are the likely to get affected? So this is possible for the analysis, and this is called as the buffer analysis. That is the proximity analysis. So this is also possible with the point. So you let it be a single dot or the combination of number of points, then line and the polygon. So you can see here lines also, you can see here buffer. So for the road network, suppose you want to say what is the encroachment you want to find out on both the side of the roadway. So it should be restricted at least 500 meters to either side. So you want to find out buffer, you give the assignment buffer, and whether it is encroached to what extent we want to find out. Similarly, the polygon, as just like a polygon from outside to inner side, and same way inner side to. So we go for the very simple tutorial, they call as the QG, using QGIS. So in this QGIS, what you can see, suppose there is an area, and you can see this is the boundary of the area, and some of the lines, the network, road network, and some the spots you can see here. These are some of the locations. QGIS helps us in the preparing the different layers. So there is this particular space which is the layer. So this what we call about the overlaying of this different data. So first of all, what we have to do, we have basically the data we have to separate out in different layers, and this called as the thematic layers. Because if you see all the data is collected together, and if you go for the analysis, so in that case it is somewhat complex. So better way to separate out the different features and treat them separately. Okay, so we giving the labels, the roads, the boundaries, and the lines. So, okay, now here is the data for particular particular area. Yeah, educations, suppose there are different institution in a city you want to locate, just like here, what you can see. So there is the geographical distribution of different institution and their location is likewise. So what is the data is in an attribute data form. So if we go for the, just click on this, the data can be displayed here, and what are the different institutions, degree colleges. So likewise the serial wise it will be coming in this case. We can assign different degree colleges, let it be we can say engineering colleges, arts and science colleges. So we go for symbolizing with the different colors. It is also possible. Okay. Similarly, if I say for a highway, if you want to distribute highway, the same in the diagram. This is the highway which what we can see here, and it is with the names. It is possible for the adding one more layer here. So adding one more layer. So you can see the highway, and in this also, if you overlay all together, it will be looking like this. That is the road network, the geographic area, this is boundaries, and the colleges. Now we go for the digitization of the road. So what you can simple is that take up the map of this, and how can the digitization is possible. So most of the times here the coordinates are given latitude and longitude. So we go for this, and just over this, what you can see there are different cities, you can say one city is two city, second, third, fourth, likewise we go for this, the plotting on this, and it will be looking like this. So here we go for the localities here, then we overlay for this. So now here we want to original in the map, there is the road, there are number of the roads, for example there are the cities. So what we can do here, we go for the digitization. That means we can start from the drawing from here and going from like this. So here we go for the adding one more layer. You can see all layers, and from this they are modifying the this customized feature, and you can draw like this. So likewise on the it is to be overlaid. So likewise number of the roads, the road network is possible to draw here. So there are different the areas, you can say polygons, irregular shape. It is also possible for the polygon. So adding one more layer in this case. So how is the area is possible to form, that is polygon. So all this together is possible to join. Now here is the some of the another example. Suppose there is some in a town or in an area, different the buildings are there. So similarly, just polygon you have to retrace to that, and the different the buildings can be possible. Now in this case, suppose in there are different buildings which are to be quarantined. So what we can do, we go for the different symbolization which is given here like this. So that means identify the different buildings, whether secondly it could be residential building or it could be the commercial building. Likewise you can also separate this. Okay, now there are different data which is possible. One is the special data and non-special data which can be associated with it. The data which is GIS data called as the special data, and non-special that is attribute data, it is to be actually collected from the field, and both are joined together and form a large database. Now one more example, suppose there is the distribution of the cities, actually cities in India map, on India map. So here we want to analyze which are the cities which are actually lying nearby to the Indian rivers. So there we can two features, Indian cities and the Indian rivers, you can see. Okay, so what we go for the open the attribute table, the data in for this. Now in this data also, if it's possible that you have to specific the cities which are starting from the letter A. So you can go for the characteristics. Here you can see the characteristic this A percentage. So the cities which are starting from A, that will get highlighted here, and you can easily identify this. So for example, in state Haryana, you want to know what is the population which is more than 10 lakh. So it is also possible the characteristics is changed to text alphabet to numeric value. So likewise again it will give the extract value, extract numbers for this. Now again if you want to say, there one more. Okay. Now here we come to the different cities which are, if you, it is called as the buffer analysis, and the cities which are nearby of the river, either of the 10-kilometer buffer zone. So we can say this Kanpur city, which is very in the buffer region, and we say the Lucknow, which is far away from this, the Kanpur. How this it is possible to assign the buffer.